to the podcast for Connie and Lottie and Alaska Real Estate. Today, we are actually in Nashville, Tennessee to the Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Real Estate Convention. And my guest today is Gina from Homer. And I don't get to see Gina very often, so we had to come all the way here to Nashville so that we could have this conversation. So welcome, Gina, and tell us a little bit about how long you've been in real estate and with Berkshire Hathaway.
Thank you for having me, Connie. I have been in real estate since the early 2000s in Alaska, in Homer specifically. And this is my 5th year with Berkshire Hathaway.
And you are a legend because you've been Alaska's top producer. And so I want to personally congratulate you for all of that hard work and activity. So a lot of people are curious about Homer. I know it is the halibut capital of the world, but there is a lot more to Homer than that. So talk to us about Homer.
Yes, Homer is a beautiful place. We like to call it the cosmic hamlet by the sea. It is full of fabulous food. It's kind of a foodie town. We've got art galleries, artists, authors. We like to say the beauty of the place really attracts the most interesting people from all over the world.
Tell me about the Spit. What is the Spit, right?
The Spit is a man-made piece of land that stretches out about 7 miles out into the Ketchimak Bay. On the base of the Spit is what's called Land's End Resort. There's some beautiful condos down there, and there are shops and restaurants and things like that all come alive in the summer.
Well, tell us about what real estate is like. I know that there are international players, buyers that come into the market. A lot of entertainers are down there.
Yes.
They build multi-million-dollar houses, but I also know that having been somewhat in a little bit of the business down there with raw land and lots for sale and that sort of thing. What's the market really like?
It's a really healthy, stable market, I would say. It's accelerating. I've sold some of the same properties 4 times, and no one has ever
Because
watched
you're the
anybody.
forever agent.
That's right.
Yes, like Berkshire
That's
Hathaway.
right.
All right, that's
That's right.
great.
Yeah, so it's really healthy and stable. As a lot of markets right now in Alaska, of course, our supply is really low at this time, which is not unusual for this time of the year, and the demand is high.
So what's the average price, would you say?
Our medium price is between $450 and $470.
I'm surprised that it's that low. In Anchorage, in February, the average price was $601,000.
Wow.
So who comes to Homer? Just for a vacation, to go fishing, but then who comes there to live? Do you have a second home market, or is it primarily a first home market?
We have a huge second home market as well, but we also have a lot of people that forecast their retirement, speculate, buy a property. A lot of military comes to Alaska and they find Homer and they buy property to retire on in the future. We have people really from all over the world that come there. We get a lot of teachers, a lot of people in the medical profession, just all walks of life, really.
A couple of years ago, I did sell a townhome to a retired minister, and they were moving to Homer. I remember that, right. And I was sort of surprised by all of that Anchorage people or people even from the Mat-Su would come to Homer and retire.
We're the #1 retirement community in the state. Fairbanks seems to be a hot place. The people they want to come to Homer and retire.
Fairbanks want to come and get out of the cold, right?
A lot of people from Fairbanks buy there to retire.
I heard just 2 days ago it was 52 degrees below zero.
Oh my God, we can see why they want to come to Homer.
Right, exactly. I know, I do some land development, residential land development. I won't go near Fairbanks because they have no natural gas. Some areas have natural gas, but it has to be trucked in.
Right.
And the cold, phenomenal. People say it's good for coat weather. Actually, that's the best thing you could say about Fairbanks. But they do have a beautiful summer.
I don't think I can handle the heat, though. I hear it gets up to 100.
I know. Isn't that bizarre?
It is.
And they have huge mosquitoes.
Yes.
Yes. They have huge
Yes.
mosquitoes.
I prefer the peninsula.
I can see that. So tell us more about the halibut.
Well, we are the halibut fishing capital of the world. We have the halibut derby. We're about to have the Winter King salmon fishing derby, which is coming up, I believe, around April 5th.
You have king salmon in the spring?
We do.
I didn't know that.
Yep. We have actually it's a Winter King.
Is it white or is it?
Well, it's called the Winter King Derby, but you can catch, it could be the white is the Winter King, but the Derby it could be any kind of salmon.
I heard that salmon in Seattle is worth $52 a pound.
I believe it.
Uh, and have you ever been to the public market where they're throwing the fish
At
back and
Pikes,
forth at
yes.
Pike's Market?
Yes.
Yeah,
It's a
and
lot
those
of fun.
big salmon, right?
Yes.
They're, a king is what, 30 pounds?
Yeah,
A good,
that's a big one.
that's a
Yes.
big king,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
Right.
Yes. So fishing is huge in our world.
I have a client whose family has lived in Homer, and basically what he said that if you're not involved in the fishing community, there isn't anything to do in Homer.
Yeah.
Do you think that's true? I mean,
I
would
do
you
not.
say, all right, okay.
A lot of people there's cross country skiing is really huge. In the winter, a lot of snow machining. There's a lot of places to recreate in Caribou Lake. Places off the grid, off 7 miles off the road system. You can take a trail back there, and in the summer, you can four-wheel back there. We have kayaking, hiking. We're a stomping ground to catch a boat and go across the bay. And there's all kinds of fjords over there and different coves and places to visit. Which there's a lot to do in Homer.
I noticed that you do a lot in Copper Landing and some of the
Cooper
other
Landing, yeah.
surround Cooper Landing.
Yes.
See, I don't even get that right. And some of the other communities. So tell me a little more about the Kenai Peninsula because you have Homer, which is sort of at the end of the road, so to
Yes.
speak. And we've talked about that. But then I understand there's a lot going on in Soldotna and
Yes.
Nikiski, and it's also a Russian settlement community. Right.
Absolutely. And just to kind of expand on that, a little north of Homer is Anchor Point, which is only 17 miles from Homer. But we like to say you get a lot more bang for your buck in that area. You can get more land, there's larger parcels, the soils are better, easier to install septics and wells and things like that. And then beyond there, Ninilchik, which when I first started in the area, in the early 2000s, Ninilchik was kind of a dead community. And now it's like up and coming. They say the fishermen love Ninilchik because it's closer to get out from a boat to the big fish. So if you're in Homer, it might take you an hour to get out to where the big fish are. But if you leave from Ninilchik, you're closer. And now Ninilchik has a small scale Peninsula State Fair, which is really nice. And then we have two huge music festivals there now. One is Salmon Fest, and it draws like 10,000 people to the area. And there's a new one that just started a few years ago that's really growing called Sacred Acre. So that's bringing a lot of artists, a lot of younger people from throughout the state, and also the lower 48.
So Ninilchik was originally a Russian community,
Yes.
isn't that correct?
That is
So
correct.
that is where the Russians sort of settled in that area. And we also have someone that has that heritage, right?
We
in
do.
the office.
Yes,
right.
we do.
And what is it that she makes every spring or fall that are so delicious?
Hina, she makes pierogies and they are delicious. This girl is very impressive. She's out picking berries, making jams, sewing her own clothes, sewing her children's clothes. And I have the funniest picture of her. One day she's got real estate signs, a baby on one hip, another kid on the other, walking out the door. So she does it all. We're really blessed to have Hina on our
Right.
list.
She is and she came a couple of years ago, I know, to the conference
She
here.
did.
Yeah.
She did. And
I
she
think
really
it was in
enjoyed
Louisville, if I recall
it.
correctly.
She sure did.
Right, right.
Mhm.
And well, it was very nice to take her to the diversity reception that particular year. So a little bit about real estate. How long have you lived in Alaska?
Since 2003.
Okay.
Mhm.
So that's 22 years,
Yes.
23 years. So tell us, in your opinion, about Alaska. Why do you live here?
I love it. Just like everyone else that kind of drives through Homer and comes down Baycrest, you fall in love immediately. You're like, oh my gosh, it's like a revolving painting. It looks different at all times.
That's nice.
It's just beautiful. But I came up to visit and I brought my children. I had a surprise son and I thought, I'm going to come up and visit my mom. And my mom had said, maybe you should just sell your house and like take some time off and try to be here with your son. And I thought, maybe I should do that. So I did, thinking I
But
was
not
gonna
for very
be
long
right.
because you can't stand still.
Yeah, right. But thinking that I was just going to relax and stay home with my child. And I got here and I did real estate before I came. And when I got here, I was just like, oh my God, like this place is amazing. And I came in February of that year. And by June, I had my real estate license and was working.
I think the thing about Alaska is there's so much opportunity. It
Absolutely.
is the largest state. we like to say it's not just the 49th state, it is the largest state, and everybody compares it to Texas because we have oil and gas and a lot of natural resources. But we're different than Texas.
Totally.
We have mountains.
We have
Right.
mountains, we have
We-
water.
We have water. We have the inlet. And so people come there and they either really like it and stay like you and I have stayed. I've
Absolutely.
been there for over 40 years, or they spend a summer and then they go home. And relocation in the medical community, the military, and the oil and gas, the relocation buyers start to come towards the end of January, and it takes them maybe 30 days to find a home and 45 days to close. And then their school is out wherever they're from, Texas or Oklahoma or wherever it is, because they want the family to enjoy the summer
Right.
before winter sets in.
Yeah.
So-
That's a good plan too.
Right,
Good
right.
strategy. I feel like Alaska gets into your butt. And I've seen a lot of people, they come up here. Sometimes it's so far from everywhere. And sometimes they
That's
miss
a problem.
their
That's a
family from
problem.
the
They
Lower
miss their
East Bay,
family.
right?
Right.
But I find that they'll sell their house, they move away, and then they want to come back. I've sold somebody their same house twice before.
I think that does happen because we have a population of only 640,000 people.
Right.
We know our 2 U.S. senators. We know our governor. We know our representative for the House of Representatives. So it's much closer. It's a much closer political community, and it's a much closer social community because we still have pioneers. I mean, they may be 80 or 90, but we still have the original pioneers.
It's fascinating
yep.
to hear their stories.
Yep.
Absolutely.
We have the family still that still owns the Captain Cook Hotel.
Mhm.
And he was the governor. Wally Hickel was the governor. He was the Secretary of the Interior. His family still owns the hotel. They have been offered more than one opportunity to sell the hotel, but to them, it's part of Alaska, and they're part of the family.
And
of
they treat their
Alaska.
employees like family as
Yes,
well.
they
Yes,
do.
They're wonderful.
They
wonderful
really
hotel.
do. So we're not just an oil and gas state,
Right.
and we're just not a native community state.
Mhm.
And we do have a very significant population of Alaskans that still live in the village. I remember that I sold property out in the Aleutian chain
Oh, wow.
in the Unalaska for the Unalaska Corporation. They were World War II duplexes, and they got them as part of their settlement. And they were costing so much to maintain them that I had the opportunity to go to Unalaska and sell them. And it was the first time that Native corporation had ever sold fee simple any of their land, because generally it was
Yeah.
always a lease. It was
Yes.
always a lease.
Mhm.
Right.
That's amazing.
So that was an unusual circumstance.
Mhm.
Certainly it was. So what advice do you give someone that is thinking about moving to Alaska?
Well, I like to, point them to different experts, depending on what they're interested in or whatever, point them to sources that they can get more information about. Sometimes depending on the person, it might be good for them to come up, visit first, maybe even rent a place 1st,
Mhm,
get to know the
mhm.
area, see because we are diversified. Even in Homer, as small as a town as it is, the areas are completely different. So that would be my advice, to many people. And we do offer property management. And
Mhm, you do.
that is tons of our tenants turn into buyers.
Well, I think that's one of the things that I'm going to be talking about in my class, which is tomorrow at 1 o'clock, which is the diversification of income sources that real estate brokerages are going to have in the future. And I can see that about when you joined Berkshire Hathaway, you brought a significant group of property management. And I learned from that actually that property management, which someone thinks, no one, I don't want, I'm too good to be a property. I don't want to do property management. I just want to list and sell properties. But those are potential buyers.
Absolutely. Tenants are buyers, landlords are sellers.
Yeah.
And I was always been amazed. I've been doing the property management for over 20 years and I still
Yes.
do it today. That none of the other realtors want to do it. They really don't, and like
Mhm.
you say, I think they think they're too good for it,
Yeah.
but that is not the case. I mean, I have rented a $650 apartment to someone that turned into buying a $650,000 house a
Right.
year later.
Right. Because a lot of that has to do with opportunity in Alaska.
Mhm.
You can be as successful as in relationship to how hard you work and how hard and what you know.
Right.
Right. And that's one of the things that I like about Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, because they really want us to learn new things, whether it's AI, which I don't like, which scares me to death. Right.
Gotta get with it.
But everything. They are a great brand, a great franchise. And I think we're both very happy to be part of that company.
Could not
Yep.
be happier.
All right.
Mhm.
Thank you very much,
You're
Gina.
welcome.
It's been great to have you.
Oh, thank
I
you
know
for
I
having
don't get
me.
to Homer very often, so we have to come all the way to Nashville so we can have a
Yes,
conversation.
Let's go to
Right.
Italy next time.
Okay, that's a date. We'll
Alright,
do that.
let's do it.
Thanks. All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you.